Hey guys, well you guys probably remember working on this stone a couple weeks ago. We cleaned this all up and I epoxied it back in place. Excuse me. And I started the infill work on it, but I'm waiting for this stone to clean up a little bit more to put a final coat of infill on this, because I think that this stone is going to end up cleaning up and staying a little darker, so I want to try to match that infill a little better. But next to Ruth's stone here, we have a daughter whose name was Susan, and this stone is laying down. It's looks like it was probably covered up at one time. Somebody dug it out and it is broken in two pieces. So we're going to dig this up today. We're going to clean it and pour a new foundation for it, and then we're going to put it back in a foundation and repair it so that it is back in one piece again. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, and I've already done this, I already did this last week when I was over here, is you want to kind of inspect the stone, what's showing of it, to make sure that there's no fine hairline cracks or anything, and that the structural integrity of the stone is that of which it can be safely moved without further damage or distress to the stone. So upon first glance, right here on this top half where it's broken, you can see that it's kind of flaking a little bit, but it's not real extensive. So I think this is going to be a good candidate for a cleaning and repair, and the repair should kind of help stop any of that that's going on there to a degree. So then we're going to come in here with a shovel. We're going to cut all the way around it, and we're going to start pulling these pieces out one piece at a time. And then we're going to dig down here and see if there happens to be an old base there. There could possibly be. I don't know if this is broken off. This goes way down in here, so we'll see. Let's get digging. Stone is much thicker than I thought it was going to be. This is probably a 4-inch thick stone. Great big thick thing. Use my shovel a little bit over here to help something down there. Kind of makes me wonder. Oh, okay. Yeah. See what that is. Old bricks. Yeah. Well, this is interesting. So, they used to use old chunks of bricks for foundations to pour these bases on sometimes. But another thing that they did, and I don't know, she died 1888 it looks like, so, or maybe 83, I can't really tell. Another thing that they like to do was they would lay chunks of bricks over the entire grave space to make it a little harder for people to dig down into the grave. That around that time, it was a really interesting time where there was grave robbers, and they were taking bodies and donating them to universities and people that wanted to go into the medical field to do dissections and stuff on. So it's possible that this entire grave space is covered with that broken brick. It's very interesting. So let's see if we can get the rest of this out of the hole. Now that we've got it out of the ground, we can see, let me see the camera over here. You guys can now see the extent of the break. This is a pretty gnarly break, great big chunk out of it like that there. And it looks like the majority of it is on this side over here. There may be a piece oh yeah, right there. So there's another piece of the stone. This has started to, this is a great example of sugaring. If I can, you'll have to excuse me. But see that? That piece is junk. We're not going to be able to reuse that. So we will have a pretty big gap to fill in. That's caused by years and years and years of ground contact and moisture and things like that. That's why the edges of those bigger pieces have started to do that. But fortunately, they look like they're in pretty good shape still. So we'll get those in a orientation where we can start cleaning them and see how they turn out. I might have to get some dirt over here to fill in this big hole. So, all right, we'll get these propped up on some wood and we'll get cleaning them. Okay, I've got these pieces up on some wood. I got my Orvis soap mixed up here. I'm just going to soak these down with a little bit of water and let them soak for a minute. And then we'll get to cleaning on them. You can already see that there's a full epitaph down there. I think this stone is going to turn out really nice when it's all done. Another thing I noticed too was this stone is the exact same, well, not the exact same, but a very similar design. It's the same shape, size, everything as Ruth's stone here. So. Just going to give everything a minute to get thoroughly soaked and soften up some, and then we'll get to brushing. Okay, so these have had a few minutes to soak, and they're starting to soften up quite a bit, the material that's on them. So we're gonna give them a good little scrubbing and see what they turn out like. Okay, so those cleaned up quite well actually. Much better than I expected on the first little attempt there. So next step would be to flip them over, clean them up some more, treat them with D2, and let them sit and work for a couple of days, and then we'll get the epoxy process started. And actually before that, we're gonna see if there's a foundation in the ground for it, which I don't think there is. and then if there's not, then we'll pour a new foundation and get the stone standing upright. So somehow it's all going to come together in some order or another. Okay, so I did some investigating. There is no foundation for this stone. Don't know what happened to it or where it went or anything like that. It's really odd that a large piece of stone like that could just come up missing, but it happened a lot. And, alright guys, well, last night after I shut the camera off, I decided to get the prep work done for pouring the new base for this stone. And it did start raining towards the end of doing that, so I'm glad I didn't pour this concrete last night. Tonight's supposed to be pretty good weather, so I'm going to go ahead and get this poured today. I've got the form in the hole, and then here I've got an insert made for making the slot. If you saw yesterday, or earlier in the video, I should say, this stone has like this this tab kind of on the bottom of it. It's typically, you know, they would just be square on the end. You'd set the whole stone down into the slot like this, but this style has this tab and it's made to sit down in there. So what I'm going to do is I've made this insert. I'm going to set this down into the concrete. It's about, I don't know, an inch in every dimension larger than this tab, but it's only about maybe 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch deeper. So that's going to allow for my mortar to be underneath this stone and all the way around it. And this stone overhang here will actually cover the mortar joint on the front and the sides, but not in the back. So it's a interesting design. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like this, but we're going to try to make the best of it, and I'm sure it'll turn out really nice. So I'm going to add some water to the concrete over there, get that mixed up. We'll pour this. Excuse me. Insert the insert and we'll let it cure up overnight. I've got just I went and got an 80-pound bag of Quickcrete. This is crack resistant concrete mix is what it is, and it was like, I don't know, less than $10 for a bag. And I used it on 2 stones earlier last week, and turned out really nice. It sets up really nice. It's got some fiber in it that helps keep it from cracking. It looks really good when it's set up, so I'm happy with it. I got about 2/3 of that 80-pound bag in this bucket right now, and this is kind of a difficult way to do it, but it beats hauling around a wheelbarrow, so I don't mind too much. That stuff is really wet. Actually, doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna mix up the rest of that because I want to fill that form up as much as we can. And I think what's left in this bag is going to be too much. So Okay, got that mixed up good. I think that's going to be just enough to oh yeah, look at that. Couldn't ask for any better. I think I'll leave that bucket just like that and maybe scoop a little more out of there. I'll get my trowel and smooth that out some and see how it turns out tomorrow. Okay, I don't know how much of that actually got recorded because I had a camera malfunction. So if there was any of that was missed, it was simply just mixing up concrete and pouring it into here. Now I've got my trowel here. Okay, now we've got this piece here for the insert for the tab. I found that the best way to put these in is if I take and cut this on a 45, insert it as two pieces, and then once the concrete's cured up, I can get my chisel in the cut, chisel that piece out, chisel this piece out, and I'm able to reuse this. So it actually works a lot better than foam, which a lot of times you can't get foam out of the slot without destroying it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over and cut that with a 45. We'll let this concrete set up just a little bit, and then we'll push that in and put something on it to hold it down, and tomorrow we'll come back and pop these forms off. Alright, I've got the insert cut. We're going to take it, place it about center, actually back just a little bit because of the way that stone is designed. We're just going to push it down until it looks like it's about where we want it, and then I'm going to take a piece of wood and screw it down to the form to hold that down in place. Otherwise it's going to keep on floating up and it won't be the way we want it to be. So let's go get my screw gun. We got one of these old flag sticks I'm going to put on here because I think I'm going to need just a little bit more than what this will give me if I just put that all the way across, flush with the top. Actually, I might even need more than that. It's going to take thicker piece. This might be too much, but we'll give it a shot. Actually, I think that's going to be perfect. Okay, so now we'll put our, this 2x6 actually, 2x6 across there. I'm going to see what we got going on still. Just making sure that the placement is right, because once I screw this board down and go to work for the night, that's where it's at. So actually I probably don't even have to screw this down, but I want to make sure that it's not going to move on me. There's a lot of wildlife deer and whatnot. It's possible that something could run by this and knock it loose. So. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for tonight. I'll come back in the morning after work and see how it looks. And then I think probably Tuesday or Wednesday we'll start setting the bottom half of this stone into that base. So. Awesome. Alright guys, well, I came over here yesterday morning and went to take my forms off this new base, and it was just about a catastrophic failure. When I went to pull the insert out, it messed that base up pretty darn bad, and fortunately the concrete was not quite set up yet. It was a really cold night, and there was just a little bit of rain, and not quite set up yet. I was able to do some patchwork on it, and looks good this morning. Pulled the forms off. I decided not to film all that stuff, but so now we are ready to apply some ecological mortar or some lime mortar into the slot on that base and set the bottom piece. So that's what we're going to do right now. I got my mortar mixed up already. Actually, I think this is the first time that I didn't mix it too wet. That's kind of something that I like to do, apparently, is mix my mortar way too wet. And when I'm doing this, I like to kind of keep it dry and add water if I need it. I've got a little spray bottle that I'll add a little bit of water if I think it needs it before I set that stone in here. And what you really want to do here is you want to get a nice layer in there, and then when you set the stone down into it, it's going to kind of smush out, fill in all the voids underneath the stone, and you basically want this mortar to fully encase that tab. So got a good layer down there now. I've got a little bit left in my bucket here for some filling around the edges and stuff. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water to that. See, I've got my spray bottle on a fine mist, and I just added a little bit of water to it. Now I'm going to take these gloves off. That's why I wear gloves when I mix this up, because I don't want to get any of this mortar up on the stone that I'm getting ready to grab. So I'm going to take these gloves off so I've got clean hands, and we won't have any mortar residue up on this stone. Now, if you guys will remember, this tab is flush on the back, but there's a little bit of an overhang all the way around the other three sides, so it's gonna leave us with a mortar joint reveal on the back side, and it's gonna cover most, if not all, of the joint on the front and on the sides. So we will pick this baby up. I'm just gonna get it lined up somewhat, set it down in there. Just gonna kind of let gravity do some work for us here. I don't think I got enough mortar down in that slot. Okay, I'm gonna mix up a little more mortar and keep adding it on the back side there, and keep moving that stone back and forth like I was just doing to get it to fully encase that tab. Okay, I've got some more mortar mixed up here. Use my trowel. I'm just gonna work that down here into this crack, into this slot, and it's kind of a slow and painful process. But then this is pretty much done. I just have to make sure it's set straight in there, and this will be done for the day. Tomorrow, maybe the next day, I'll come back and join the two pieces together, and we'll get a glance at this thing in one piece again for the first time in at least 20 years that I know this has been laying on the ground. So it'll be back upright in the way it's supposed to be, and that'll be nice. So I'm going to do some cleanup here, and then I'll bag this because it's supposed to rain tonight, and come back tomorrow. Okay, so I cleaned up most of the excess, and all I do with that is just like cleaning up a patch job. You know, you just take a wet rag and you work it like that. Now, this stone has to lean forward just a little bit. It is, it's leaning back ever so slightly. And I'll show you how I'm gonna get it to lean forward. Pretty simple. I'll bring the camera up like this. So it's leaning back just a little bit. I'm going to take this stake that I actually used to mix up concrete. I'm going to stick it in the ground, and then this is where the headstone was laying, so it's kind of a rough spot. So I've got this stick in the ground, and it's gonna push ever so slightly up against this stone, make it lean forward. If I can get it to hold. I know that moved back a little bit, but I think it might be good. And it is. It needed to move back just that little bit to make it perfect. So it's you can put a level on them. I'm just eyeballing it with this other stone that I've already leveled because I want it to look the same as the ones around it. So okay, so we've got this thing all put back together. There's a very large hole in the back from a piece missing that I showed earlier. I did start to do some infill on that. I'll show you. Got some of it infilled, but you can see that this stone is still very dirty. It's let's see, almost October. It's getting close to deer season for me. Bow season starts October 1st. So my plan with this stone now is to get it prepared for winter, and what I mean by that is I don't want to leave this big open crack over the winter, because I'm afraid that snow and ice will get in there and it'll cause some damage. But the stone's not clean. It's not clean enough for me to feel comfortable infilling this all the way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some infill material all the way around this crack to seal it up for the winter time, so no snow and ice gets in there. That will allow it to be protected over the winter, and then in the spring, when the stone is hopefully more clean, I can get over here and finish it out. I've got Ruth's stone here also next to it that you guys have seen. It needs some more infill work done on it. It's actually ready for that, but I'm just gonna wait and do both of these in the spring. So I've got some marble mortar mixed up here. I apologize for the lawnmower noise in the background, but I'm just gonna go around and start sealing this thing up. And that'll be the end of the video for this year. And next spring, when the weather warms up, I'll come out and finish this stone up and show you guys the finished product. Hoping that it'll continue to clean up quite a bit over the winter months even. So I got this mortar mixed up. I've got it mixed up a little dry because we got some of these larger gaps here. The last thing we really want after doing all this work is for this stone to get damaged through the winter. There are some small cracks, you know, here that I've infilled, and you know, the whole object of all this work is we got the stone out of the ground so that we could save it, so that it would hopefully be better off, which I think it will be, but it would be a real shame if we pulled this stone out of the ground and did all that work and just had it get ruined in the wintertime. So this hole here is so big that I've been kind of infilling it in stages, because I'm worried that if I put too much infill material in there all at once, it'll all fall out or something, you know. Jeez. Guys, I don't know if I showed you guys the big chunk of marble that came out of the hole when I dug this thing out, but there was a big chunk in the hole, and it just was like sugar, just disintegrated. So it was no good to use as filler, so we're having to fill a big hole. Okay, I think that's about all I'm gonna do for that at this point. I'm just gonna let this set up for a little while, and then I'll get to cleaning it up. But as far as this video goes, that's it. Got some cleanup to do, but we'll have to revisit this in the summertime, in the spring I should say. So I'll throw some photos up of what it looks like after it's cleaned up and stuff this year, and then like I said, we'll come back in the spring.